One of the best fighters I've faced was Manny Pacquiao. He's one. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer.
What the is it about Manny, man? He just don't stop coming.
But you know me, I keep my distance because he's real short.
Floyd Mayweather has turned heads once again, this time not for stepping into the ring himself, but for backing a surprising return that of his former rival Manny Pacquiao. In a recent statement that shook up the boxing world, Mayweather described the legendary Filipino fighter as a beast, hyping up Pacquiao's return fight against Mario Barrios on July 19th in Las Vegas. This unexpected endorsement has created a flurry of excitement and controversy as Pacquiao, now 46, prepares to re-enter the professional boxing scene after a 4-year absence.
At any point, did a fighter ever make you feel like, oh, my legacy is in jeopardy?
No, but I've been in a fight. I get like in the 3rd or 4th round, I'm like, tonight gonna be a rough night.
Okay.
One of the best fighters I've faced was Manny Pacquiao. He's one. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer.
What the is it about Manny, man? He just don't stop coming.
But you know me, I keep my distance because he's real short. I keep turning him.
Yeah, but I think this, you know, height doesn't mean anything because, you know, short people can pack a punch.
The former 8-division world champion last fought in 2021 when he lost by unanimous decision to Yordenis Ugas. That defeat seemed to mark the end of his illustrious career as he turned his focus to politics in the Philippines, even running for president in 2022 and losing both that race and his Senate re-election bid. But now, with a renewed sense of purpose and hunger, Pacquiao has decided to lace up the gloves once again, this time against the younger and much fresher Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title.
I say this a lot. Aging brains don't take punches as well. Brains aren't supposed to take punches at all, but aging brains definitely take them not as well or take them worse. So the durability is going to go down. But listen, it's Manny Pacquiao. He's the kind of guy, you never really see him like super out of shape, even when he did some of these exhibitions. He's a guy who lives a clean lifestyle. You know, I've been around him when I was getting ready to fight him. I've been around him when I was calling his fights. He's just the kind of guy, he's kind of simple. Every fundamental, you know, the way he trains, the way he eats, everything. He's a real throwback. And the kind of guy that keeps himself in shape, and he's so talented, he can always jump right back in. And because he's such a draw, he moves the needle. When Manny Pacquiao fights, it's like no one in the sport today. You know, people are paying attention other than maybe Canelo, perhaps.
The decision has sparked intense debate among fighters, promoters, and analysts. Oscar De La Hoya, a fellow boxing legend and now promoter, issued a cautious warning while expressing his respect for Pacquiao's decision. He emphasized that no one can dictate when a fighter should retire. That choice must come from within. However, De La Hoya didn't shy away from noting the dangers involved, especially when facing a younger opponent with something to prove.
You know what? I learned that you can never tell a fighter whether he has to retire or not. He has to make that decision on his own. I think that if Manny Pacquiao wants to come back and fight and he feels it in his gut, he feels it in his heart, in his body, you know, why not just go for it? Just be careful.
At 30, Barrios is 16 years Pacquiao's junior, and De La Hoya suggested that the young contender would be throwing everything at the aging icon to carve out his own legacy. He acknowledged that while Pacquiao may feel sharp in training, nothing compares to the intensity and unpredictability of a real fight, especially at this stage in life.
You know, you're facing a young guy who is probably half your age, you know, who is coming with everything, who's going to try to make a point off your name. So, you know, we can feel great inside the gym. We can feel amazing throwing punches on pads and in sparring. But when it comes to that first bell in a real fight, it's a whole different story when you're 40-something years old.
Adding to the noise, Bernard Hopkins, known for holding the record as the oldest world champion, voiced his support for Pacquiao, saying that if anyone could pull off a comeback at this age, it would be him. Hopkins acknowledged that Barrios might be a solid B-plus fighter, but he believes Pacquiao still has the speed and experience to potentially win the fight by decision. Though he doesn't expect a knockout, he sees a path to victory for the Filipino if he can outmaneuver the younger fighter using his veteran instincts and ring IQ. He said, "I'm rooting for Manny because I know if anyone can do it, it's him. I think Barrios is a B+. I believe yes. Pacquiao's got some mileage on him. Yes, he's politically mentally tied in, but he has the speed, he has the experience to get the upset. As a matter of fact, Manny could beat him by decision. He won't get the stoppage." Interestingly, Pacquiao appears to be taking the challenge seriously, showing off rigorous training routines and sharing clips on social media, including footage from a session near the Hollywood sign, which he posted with a confident and motivational caption. These glimpses into his preparation have only added to the intrigue, fueling speculation about whether he can defy the odds yet again.
Go. Like you never left.
Keith Thurman, who fought both Pacquiao and Barrios, is another voice leaning in Pacquiao's favor. The former world champion lost a close split decision to Pacquiao in 2019, but went on to comfortably beat Barrios in 2022. Thurman, speaking to Mill City Boxing, expressed his excitement about Pacquiao's return and said he would be rooting for the veteran. He believes that the Filipino legend still has what it takes to outsmart a younger opponent, pointing out that boxing is not just about youth and power, but also about experience and ring savvy.
Of hurting Barrios, but not sure what the speed's gonna look like at this time. The weight coming off, he's done a few exhibitions. He hasn't had to be at that upper echelon of fighting per se. So it's gonna be interesting, man. A lot of fight fans are just gonna enjoy to see what Pacquiao brings to the table. But I highly doubt I'll have an opportunity to get a rematch. You know, I'm not gonna not take it. You know, I've been wanting to punch that boy for a lot of years. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it'd be exciting to see him do great, but we got to see, man. The one thing I'm rooting for Pacquiao is the vet.
Eddie Hearn, a prominent boxing promoter, took a more critical stance. He openly questioned the decision to sanction this comeback as a world title bout. Hearn believes it undermines the integrity of championship rankings, stating that a fighter shouldn't be allowed to re-enter the sport after several years, have a few lackluster exhibition matches, and then be granted an immediate title shot based solely on name recognition.
But you can't just be out for 5 years, like already be done, and then come back, have a couple of exhibitions, look terrible, and then phone up the WBC and say, stick me in at number, what are you going at, 5 or 9 or something like that? It's like, but also it is a business, and I do understand, but it just makes a little bit of a mockery of the World Championships.
Although he respects Pacquiao's legacy and desire to return, Hearn predicts that Barrios will defeat him convincingly. He emphasized that Barrios may not be an elite champion, but he's still young, active, and physically strong, traits that could expose the decline in Pacquiao's reflexes and endurance.
And Barrios is not the greatest world champion, but I think he's better than what we saw last time out, you know, when he boxed on the Mike Tyson card. And I think he'll beat Manny Pacquiao quite handily. So you can't really, you know, I'm happy for Manny, but it just shouldn't work out like that. And you'll see a shot legend in the ring, which I think is quite sad, you know. But listen, if he wants to do it and he's got the will to do it, good luck to him. But I just don't think you should be out for 5 years, not fight anybody, and then just stroll back into the rankings because you're Manny Pacquiao.
For his part, Barrios is not taking Pacquiao lightly. In a recent interview with The Ring, he expressed full awareness of the stakes and the risk involved in facing a fighter as legendary as Pacquiao. He made it clear that he plans to give everything in the ring, stating that the fight could come down to kill or be killed. This mentality shows that Barrios is approaching the bout with the seriousness and hunger of a fighter looking to launch his career to new heights by taking down a legend.
I mean, again, man, because if the roles were reversed, you know, he wouldn't take it easy on me. And it's just the reality of the sport. Like I said, man, it's kill or be killed today. And yeah, so I mean, I'm going in there. I'm going to try to defend my title and by any means necessary.
I can't look at it as anything other than, you know, it's just another opponent trying to take what's mine. You know, he's
outside the ring, I have, nothing but respect for him, nothing but respect for everything he's accomplished.
All eyes are now set on July 19th, when the fight will take place at the iconic MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The venue itself is a symbolic one for Pacquiao, as it has hosted many of his most famous battles. Fans around the world are eager to see whether the aging warrior can turn back the clock one more time, or whether Barrios will be too much for him to handle. Pacquiao's comeback is not just about Barrios. It's become a bigger conversation about legacy, opportunity, and the future of the welterweight division. Conor Benn, still tied to a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr., is closely monitoring this bout. The 28-year-old Brit sees a potential path to the WBC title if he can step in against the winner. Despite his current commitments, Benn admitted that he would trade the Eubank fight in a heartbeat for a shot at the Pacquiao-Barrios victor. In his view, Pacquiao still has a real shot at winning, and that possibility excites him.
No, the WBC title was very, very real, and part of me goes, I wish, I fought for the WBC title, world title. But ultimately, you got Barrios versus Pacquiao. I think Barrios is going to be in for a hard fight, to be honest. I think Pacquiao could win it.
Do you know what's mad? That when you done the face-off with Pacquiao in Saudi, you was getting a bit of a stick for it, but realistically, you could fight him for the WBC title, and then you can get no stick for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just boxing, isn't it? Everyone's always got something to moan about.
While predictions remain split, the narrative is compelling. Pacquiao's return has become more than just a boxing match. It's a spectacle, a moment in time where the sport's past and future collide. With opinions ranging from complete confidence in Pacquiao to serious concerns about his health and abilities, the upcoming fight is drawing attention from every corner of the boxing community.
I mean, originally getting the fight, I was pretty blown away, but during training camp and everything, I'm not training with the mentality, that I'm getting ready, to fight an icon, to fight a legend. At the end of the day, he's just another man, trying to fight for my title. So, I respect everything he's done in the sport, even the person he is outside of the ring. But come fight night, all that respect, it's not going to be there. And it's all smiles, between both of us for right now. But, yeah, I know on fight night, we're both going in there with bad intentions. He's going in there trying to, take my title. And I got to do whatever it takes to make sure he does it.
His motivation is simple. He's the reigning champion, and he plans on keeping it that way. He described training camp as one of the best he's had, with strong sparring and smooth preparation. According to Barrios, the key has been not viewing Pacquiao as a legend, but as another challenger looking to take his belt, and that's something Barrios refuses to allow.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just looking, to going out there, just showcasing my skill, showcasing, my youth. Just using, any advantage that I have, to make sure, again, my hand is raised at the end of the night.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi added yet another perspective to the build-up. He questioned the quality of the current welterweight division, suggesting that Pacquiao's return is only possible because the field lacks true elite-level talent. In his eyes, Barrios is a weak champion who has regressed over time. Malignaggi believes Pacquiao sees this as a golden opportunity to reclaim glory, knowing full well that the window for such a move wouldn't exist if the division were stronger.
Well, remember what I said before. I said I don't think, I think that none of us should be bigger than the sport, and I stand by that. Even when, for me, possibly the greatest ever for me, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, I sound a lot of haters don't think that, but even Floyd, when he would walk in second as a challenger, it wouldn't be something I would have done. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you always have to. I feel like you always have to. You always have to respect the sport first. But nonetheless, some guys will take that upon themselves. I'm a bigger name. and I can just come into a title shot. You know, I'm very curious to see if he's gonna walk into the ring second as well, or if Barrios is gonna walk into the ring second. If he's gonna like go all out, and because technically you're by the rules, and we know boxing never follows the rules, but you're not supposed to fight for a world title if you're coming off a loss.
Voicing his thoughts, Tim Bradley raised a concern about Manny Pacquiao's return to the ring. He suggested that Pacquiao's comeback may be driven more by financial motivations than competitive ambition. Reflecting on Manny's last fight against Yordenis Ugas, Bradley noted that Pacquiao didn't look sharp and showed signs of decline. He also emphasized that Mario Barrios is far from a slouch, pointing out his standout attributes and skill set that make him a real threat in the welterweight division.
Obviously, you know, it has to be pertaining to any kind of money. You know, it has to be financial. I mean, any fighter that comes back, especially from retirement, a guy like Manny Pacquiao, it definitely has to do with money. One, two, I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring, man, against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, you know, a fighter, a younger fighter. Barrios is no slouch. Barrios is a young fighter, you know, bigger fighter, knows how to, you know, control distance very well. Can punch a little bit. Like, he's no easy task for anybody in the welterweight division.
Revisiting Manny Pacquiao's comeback, Tim Bradley labeled it as a dangerous move, especially against a young, hungry fighter like Mario Barrios. He stressed that he sees a troubling outcome for Pacquiao, warning that many legends before him have taken brutal losses late in their careers. Bradley believes Barrios could deliver that kind of beating, potentially forcing Manny back into retirement for good. However, he also cautioned Barrios not to underestimate Pacquiao's power, particularly his signature left hook, which, even if not as sharp as in his prime, still poses a serious threat.
And for Manny to come back after this long and to face a young guy like that is dangerous. And sometimes, you know, these old legends, they got to get beat up several times before they call it quits. You know, that Ugas fight, I don't know if it was enough for Pacquiao. That's why he's coming back. But Barrios, he can finish Pacquiao. There's a possibility that he can finish Pacquiao and basically cause him to go back into retirement once again. But again, what they say, the last thing that leaves is the power. If Manny got any of that power still left in him, if he lands that left hand, he can hurt the young guns.
On the other hand, despite the concerns raised by critics, Manny Pacquiao has firmly shut them down, choosing instead to focus on training harder than ever to prove the legitimacy of his comeback and his continued dominance. He expressed his deep love for boxing, saying the passion still runs strong within him. Pacquiao also confidently stated that his skills remain sharp, and even at this age, he believes his performance reflects the spirit and strength of his youth.
You know, I love boxing is my passion, and I love to work out hard. I love workout. I mean, my body is so tired. Like, I feel tired when I don't have exercise every day. Yeah. So I love to work out, and I love to prepare like this fight. I mean, I'm excited. My body can still fight, and the speed is still there. The motivation is still there. I still have that fire.
Australian fighter Tim Tszyu, however, was far more skeptical. Speaking after a press conference earlier in June, he candidly said he couldn't see Pacquiao pulling off the win. Although he admitted that Pacquiao was his favorite fighter growing up, Tim Tszyu couldn't ignore the age difference and the physical edge Barrios brings into the ring.
I can't see Manny winning. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
No, I can't see. I think age is a big factor, you know, even though he's my favorite fighter and stuff like that. Mario Barrios is a beast.
At just 30 years old and fighting at his peak, Barrios is not only younger, but also hungry to retain his title. Tim Tszyu highlighted that youth, drive, and current momentum make Barrios the favorite. Yet even he conceded that it wouldn't completely shock him if Pacquiao pulled off the upset, because if anyone could do the unthinkable, it would be Manny Pacquiao.
30 years young, in the prime, going from a world title, you know, it's a hard challenge for Manny.
If he were to do it, would it surprise you?
No, it wouldn't surprise me. That's the thing, because he's Manny Pacquiao.
you know, he's full of surprises.
Yeah.
There's no denying the allure of a comeback story. For many, Pacquiao represents the spirit of a fighter who never backs down, who defies expectations, and who continues to chase greatness even when the odds are stacked against him. Whether that story ends in triumph or disappointment on July 19th remains to be seen, but one thing is clear, the world will be watching. Don't miss a beat. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel for exclusive fight coverage, expert breakdowns, and all the behind-the-scenes action leading up to Pacquiao versus Barrios.